Okay, so what is this podcast about? So why are we doing this now? Why are we so passionate about doing this podcast now?
Wow.
Because we're like, do we have time for this? No.
Well, I feel like we talk on the phone so much. We're somebody we consult all the time, back and forth about our clients because we love it, not just because we have to. We're like, okay, I'm worried about this person. Have you reached out? Like, this is just kind of who we are as people.
Yes.
And so,
and what's best practice? I have this client with this thing. What do you think? What would you do? Let's stand, say, let's go and stand. Like, it's because we love what we do
so much. And I think for me, seeing other people doing podcasts was like, oh, that's really interesting. And then I don't even know how. I feel like we had like a conversation and it was like, we should do this. Like, why don't we try and help people in any way that we can through, us talking, which is, we have so many different friends who are like, I love hearing you guys talk. Like, you guys are really good when you're talking about stuff. So it's like, why don't we do that for like a job?
Right? Let's put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Relationship Psychologist podcast, a place where we dive deep into all things relationships. I'm Dayna Mullen.
And I'm Alicia and we are soul sisters, besties, and psychologists. We're on a mission to change the culture of relationships.
Each week, we will discuss our expertise in the field of psychology, interview experts, spiritual leaders, and real people. Our goal in every episode is to give our listeners tools to implement in their lives today.
This podcast is not therapy, nor should it be a substitute for therapy, but instead we're here to motivate, support, and guide your conscious journey in this life.
The best way to support our podcast is to subscribe and give it a 5-star review.
Thanks so much for joining. Let's dive in.
Welcome.
Wow, this has been a process.
Yes, it has.
Who knew podcasting was so much work?
Yeah.
All you podcasters out there, high five. Holy moly. This has been a shit ton of work.
Well, it's like having a new baby, right? There's owner's manuals out there to say this is what to expect, but until you actually have one, you have no idea.
No idea. No. And I YouTube all the shit and still have no idea. So anyways, here we are. Take 105.
We made it.
We're here. We've landed. So who the hell are we? What are we doing here?
Yes. Who am I? I don't know.
Dun, dun, dun. You know what? That's going to be our podcast theme. Who are you? That's the next thing for the next 110 episodes is who are you in relationship. But who are you is relationship.
Yeah.
Which is why we're here.
Yes. Yes, totally.
Okay, let's introduce ourselves. People that are like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah, people talking. Well, hopefully you can see us a little bit. This is Alicia. I'm going to introduce you with the bright blue glasses. She's got about 120 pairs of glasses.
Well, not anymore. Look at these damn bifocals.
Like, she's getting old, but she still looks 23. So
you're right. Yeah,
it's good. So, okay, so you're Alicia.
Yes.
You tell me about you. Or tell everybody about you.
Okay, so I'm a mom of 2 kids and a bunch of fur babies and a couple of, foster/billet kids over the years.
You have the house that is open to everyone.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, I think interesting facts. I was raised in the city, as were you, and then I did a 180. Although, looking back, I was in 4-H as a kid. My first job was at a farm. I was weeding fields at age 14, moved up to the farm, lived in the trailer for the whole summer. So it's been in my DNA. It's been in my roots to be living on the acreage or living off the farm.
Yeah. Alicia's the type of girl who is up for anything. So you've had a motorcycle.
My first vehicle, motorcycle. Yeah. In high school.
Yeah. You have horses.
Yeah.
You
chickens,
pretty
dogs,
much anything that is out there you're interested in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a curious being. I just want to touch and experience all things that are living, breathing life.
Yes.
It's true. I love the mountains. I love the water. I love outdoors, nature. Yeah. I mostly like outside. I mostly don't like people as much as I like animals, really.
That's true. As amazing as you are as a psychologist, you are animal.
It's true, actually. Yes, this is true. Which will work that into relationships, why I think I like animals is a whole other topic. But I think they're honest. And their attunement skills are fantastic, and they're not bombarded by defenses and all the things.
And they relax us, right? Because they're so in tune with who they are.
Yeah.
Again, who are you, right? Animals are they're there. They kind of live there. And our prefrontal cortex pulls us away from who we really are.
Yeah. And they call me my shit.
Yeah.
Especially my horse Stan will call me if I'm out there and I'm just in a busy, gotta catch you, gotta go to the ferry, or we gotta go to something thing. He's like, not today. Calm your shit down and come get me. He'll just walk away, and I have to really pause and go, ground. reconnect, right? Self-regulate.
Yes.
And then he's like, okay.
Which is good for you because you'll also hear Alicia is an incredibly fast
Right.
talker. So we'll keep slowing her down for the podcast. Sometimes she'll talk to me on the phone and I can't even understand her and I just keep saying yes. Then eventually she's like, what do you think? And I'm like, I have no idea what you just said.
I listen to podcasts sometimes too. Like, I really do.
Yes.
I was listening to Nikki's podcast with the Buddha guy yesterday again. And he's a Buddha guy, but times two is perfect.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you're married, you have 2 kids, and anything else you want to share about who you are, where you've come from?
Well, we'll get into like why we do in a second here, but
Okay.
I don't know. I think, yeah, just Southern Alberta raised girl. I'm kind of a, outdoorsy, farmy kind of girl. Kind of conservative, probably.
Probably.
I have a quick story. Like I thought I'm like pretty open, and we went to one of Stan's retreats in Estlin, Jay and I, years ago.
Oh yes.
And I'm like, we're pretty open people, and we got there and realized we are really not. Like we're very
Small
kind of
town.
small town. Like it was Estlin is beautiful and amazing, and it's clothing optional.
This is
gotta
in
be
California.
there, in California. And so we're at a retreat with other couples, and he's teaching us stuff, and I'm like, I can't look at you and not see all of you, so I can't look at you in the bath later, because then I'll be distracted all day. And for them, it was just no big deal. They thought I was weird wearing a bathing suit.
Yes, I remember you telling me that you showed up at the hot tub and there was some colleagues nude, which changes the relationship really fast.
Yes, yeah, it does.
In and
But for them,
around
it didn't. And we had actually some really great contacts, like some really good conversations about why and what. And one person that we know mutually, that's either the therapist, was raised in a nudist colony.
Yes.
So for them, it was no big deal. So much as I think, I'm this really like open, flowy, hippie-ish type, I'm still a pretty conservative Alberta girl.
With clothes on, you're pretty hippie.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes. So Dayna Mullen,
What
my
about...
bestie and partner in crime.
Totally.
Yes. Tell us about you.
Okay, so I'll tell you about me and then also how we met, because I think that's an interesting.
Okay.
I'm an only child. I've been married for 20 years and I have 3 kids.
Yes.
Teen, and a tween, and no, she's not a toddler
Not anymore,
anymore. She's
but-
almost 6.
Yeah.
But
16 or
yeah,
26 maybe.
70, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
she's like an old soul, but sassy and fiery and fun.
She's a lawyer, for sure.
Right.
She's a lawyer.
Yeah, it's fun how watching the little kids now, like your little one, and then mine. I'm like, I get to see like my investment paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the hours in, you just think, holy cow, this is so much work, because it is. Parenting is a ton of work.
Yes.
But now I'm like, man, my kids are super cool.
Yeah.
They have these like cool kind of young adults, like still teenagers.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're
It
still
is.
work for sure, but it's super cool.
Yeah, it's the best.
It is
and
the best.
and we've got to raise our kids together, like, side by side. So you were a step ahead of me, and I got to learn through everything you went through, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Way better than a book.
Right? Real life.
Yes. Oh, don't do that. Oh, try that one. Yeah, there's so many times where I'll be with my teenager, she's 15 right now, and I'm just thinking, what would Alicia do? What would Alicia do right now? Because you're so calm with your kids. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like,
yes. Well, that's our attachment systems, which we talk about later
Yes.
too. Like, I am an island by nature, so I'm really good in crisis.
which is avoidant for people.
I'm avoidant. Yes, I lock and load. Could be a crisis. Like I was good with jail stuff. Like I'm good. Like what's happening. I can stay logical. My emotions are like locked in the basement somewhere in those moments.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm much more emotional and
Yeah.
explosive, although I do have parts of myself that are very like keep those emotions down.
Yes.
So I'm a little bit split that way.
Yeah. Which they're going to learn on the podcast. They're going to
Yes.
learn all this about parts and attachment systems, and like I'm so excited to do this.
Yes.
Okay,
me
so
too.
before we get into that, how did we meet? We met
24 years ago.
Oh, we just found out the date. Good for
Well,
you.
I figured it out because I remember I was 19.
Okay, because we were doing the
Yes.
math, and I was like, I don't know how long ago that was. 24 years ago. Okay, so because I started with Conrad, let's see, 93, 94-ish, at the jail, so volunteering. And I was
Yes.
still in college back then, of course, because that would make me really old.
And Conrad is a forensic psychologist.
Yeah, like one of the best. Like he was literally, how lucky are we that we got to have that mentor in our life, Matt?
Yeah.
He paved the way for some,
Goosebumps.
amazing. And so then we went into chiropractic with Conrad in 99, May of 99. So now it's been like,
And that's when I met you.
yes.
It was right shortly
there.
after that. Yeah. And I had looked up, I was in undergrad and I wanted to do forensics. This was what I thought I wanted to do. found him, walked into the private practice, and I saw this guy wearing a leather jacket, ripped
white beater.
A white beater underneath his leather jacket with his motorcycle. And I was like, I think I have the wrong place. I'm looking for a psychologist. And he's like, that's me. And I was like,
wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I'm like, just the energy of him. You were like, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And then I met you, and you walked out, and you're this stylish, gorgeous person. And I was like, and now I'm really in the right place. This is amazing.
What is this contrast? I think I learned animal assisted therapy through Comrade because his bike was his animal. So he'd bring his bike into the back of our office, and he would have clients with him, and they're cleaning the bike, changing the tires, changing the chain, just doing stuff. That his Harley was his baby.
Yes.
But it was just a way to move your body and do stuff and not be focused on the content.
Yeah.
And work through it was. Yeah, and then from that I learned how to do art therapy with him and just do different ways to process people's trauma. He was so amazing in so many ways. Just so interesting to be a human being. So lucky.
And so what I loved about the energy of that private practice when you guys were together was it was so reality based. It was just, there was no BS. It was, you are who you are. And I took that and learned that as a therapist, and I stand for that. I tell my clients, you get no different from me than I am right now with you than I am with my husband or my best friend. I am who I am. I'm very reality based, and I feel like that's really good therapy too, because there's no hidden agenda. There's no although we're an expert in what we're doing, we're not an expert on people's lives. So we're reality that way.
I'll give you the tools. I'll tell you where I messed up, and I'll share some stories. And and we worked with a diverse population. We were, again, so this is forensics. So I didn't actually plan to go into forensics. Well, I was thinking I liked the criminal mind. I like law. I liked, so I was thinking maybe law at first, actually. And then I met Conrad early on through a practicum, kind of by accident. And then was like, forensic psychology. I never even thought about that. That's fascinating. And that's kind of how I became, when you meet this guy and you just see what he does with people and change their lives, you're like, how could I not want to learn this?
Yes.
Amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I think I was just interested, the same, a lot of people are interested in true crime and, that I remember Unsolved Mysteries when I was a kid, anything that was just kind of out there. But then meeting you guys and working with sex offenders and pedophiles and I mean, it was
violent offenders, you name it, we saw it. Which is kind of, fast forward to today, couples come out of us and they're like, kind of embarrassed to tell you about our sex life. And I'm like, you can tell me anything. There's probably nothing I haven't heard, actually. I worked in the criminal system for 15 years, as did you. I've heard every possible story, and maybe something could surprise me, but and I don't get embarrassed. I'm like, tell me your stuff, because I see people as there's the behavior, right, which is not who we are. There's a thought, and there's a feeling, there's situations, there's all these triggers, all these things that cause us to act certain ways. So I was curious what the person behind all that.
Yeah, which goes into parts, which we'll get into in another episode, but that we all have different parts of ourselves, right? And so maybe a wounded part of us becomes really protective and
acts out.
Exactly. Because it's I've been hurt before, so now I have to protect myself. People don't just hurt people for no reason. And that's what I think I learned the most through working with you guys as well. Is I remember that saying, you say, hurt units, hurt others.
It's true.
It just led you to be able to access that part of the person of I can see you and I can see beyond just these little parts and just connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think part of my thinking there too is, of course in grad school everyone wants to work with the victim, which is beautiful, right? But I was in my head thinking, well, the numbers don't match up. If one perpetrator, offends multiple victims, if I can help that one perpetrator stop what they're doing, I can actually affect change, greater change. So that was kind of my thinking too, is if I could even when they're in our groups or in our systems or in our stuff, if I can avert, perpetration for just that period of time, or for longer. That was kind of my thinking back then too all the time. If I just would, because people would say, why you work with offenders? Why? I got that all the time. I mean,
I think it's the same as somebody to me who does surgery. I think, how could you do surgery? I could never do surgery, but you're interested in it some way, and if you can impact the world in what you're interested in, but then it can change, right? And for us, it did change. I mean, we circled out of that. You worked in the prison. I worked in the women's prison for a while. And then so many different types of settings.
Addictions, hospitals. Frontline care, group homes. Man, what haven't we done?
I know. We've been through a lot of different places, and then private practice again. You always had yours, and I've been in private practice for almost 15 years.
Well, Conrad had his, and he wanted to grow it, and so that's why I joined it. And then we named it this Mark on Hanger Larson back in the day was the name of our weird practice, but which we have built into core elements eventually, but. All the different roles and places they played, and then how that came to couples therapy, right? So for you, well, maybe should we do mine first? Because I guess I probably like roped you into couples.
You did. Well, and I'll say, I remember when I met you when I was an undergrad. So what I remember taking from the work that you guys were doing with the offenders was that you were trying to help them and reintegrate them back into the family. And back then there was no funding for family therapy or couples therapy. So I was like, so we're sending these people back into homes that are still toxic and chaotic and unhealthy and insecure. And so I went into marriage and family therapy because I thought this is an avenue maybe where I can create more impact.
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. And that was kind of our thinking too. And so we volunteer a lot of time, like years and years and years of our time to help create those dynamics and to find, foster situations or group home situations to create safety, security, to help these individuals function in marriage society. And just a little plug for our groups. We followed those offenders for at least 10 years post-treatment, and knock on wood, not one in that 10-year period we offended that finished our program, that followed through in our recommendations following. So we had some good results.
Yeah, you did. And I think, just my kind of perception on that also is that because you really did create some secure functioning relationships with these offenders, which to me is probably the biggest impact, is that they actually felt seen and heard and understood and not judged or criticized.
Yeah, and then they could look at their own behavior from an outside point of view, right? As like, oh, I can hate that behavior with you. It doesn't define who I am, and so therefore I empower them to change it. So that's massive, right? If I think I am bad, I can't change that. But if I did something bad, I'm empowered to change that thing. So so the journey then from jail offenders working, so I went into the jail system with Conrad originally, working part-time with him, and he quit the jail, and I took over his position essentially and did full-time forensic psychologist and I was working here at this jail here, and then a couple of the federal prisons up, in Bowdoin and Drumheller, for example. So I had a good boss. Like I had some good people in the jail here, and I kind of went in with that mindset of like, I also want to continue to help them integrate back into family situations and work with systems. Even though my boss was like, well, your job is to put out fires. Like your job is to assess. That's my main job, is to do all the assessments, and then kind of just put out fires in the jail. So what's happening? Who can I help and put out? Keep the jail running, basically, put out fires. So, but he was like, if you get that done first, we'll let you kind of do some systems work on the side. So thank God I got to do that. So I always maintain this, like, which was my undergrad with systems therapy too, right? Yeah. So I always got to do, which is family systems. If you don't know what that is. Therapy. So you're looking at people as an ecosystem. They're, one true ecosystem of their environment. Yeah.
And I like to explain it too, rather than individual pathology, saying the individual is the cause of the problems. We're looking at the whole system, who is around them that's impacting them.
Yeah. And then how do we change little parts or weed that garden, so to say, or nurture it differently to grow the individuals better.
Yes.
Or healthier. Yeah. So I got to do lots of that at the jail. So because of that, I was back then looking for training. Like I was forensically trained, like I did all the forensic training I could do, which was super helpful. And I mean, to learn the skills of assessment, I think was also super useful because I'm pretty quick, and you are too, picking up on people's personality patterns and abuse histories. And when you get versed in assessments, like hundreds of assessments, monthly, whatever, you get pretty versed in picking up that stuff pretty quick. But then got to go on to do more systems kind of oriented work. And so started back with like Les Greenberg and EFT way back in the day. Then moving on to like Gottman kind of therapy and doing more of the couples, and that kind of stuff. And that's how I kind of met Stan, actually, was at a Gottman training with Terry. Remember Terry and Laurie?
Yes.
Yes, so I was with them. Yeah, I was with them in Seattle, and they were like, hey, we're going to this study group with Stephen Porges, who's, just Google his name, and this guy named Stan Tech. Of course, I'd heard of Stephen briefly, because he was doing the polyvagal theory back then. And then later on, that was Stan's, good friend and mentor.
Yes.
So I'm like, sure, I don't know, I'll come to listen to this thing. And it was literally a study group. And so we're listening to Stan talk, and I literally was just in the room being like, oh my word, I've just met Einstein.
Yes. Oh yes. And I can remember when you called me and you were like, okay, we have to do this.
Stop everything
you're doing.
Forget it. Stop all the other things.
And I was like, okay, like what are we doing?
Yeah.
Which is typical the way that it happens.
Totally.
You start something, I'm like, okay, what are we doing?
Show up here, we're gonna learn some really cool stuff. Yeah, so that was it. Met Stan, and then started the study groups with him back in the day, and then worked into module 1 or whatever he calls the level 1, I guess now it's called. Level 2, level 3, whatever. But yeah, then we would bring our little tapes and videotapes of ourselves with our sessions and come into Stan's office in LA and watch ourselves, and he would critique us. And again, the luck of getting in early with someone like that, to have that one-on-one mentorship.
Yes.
And now we're both PAC coaches and things, but just again back to how lucky we are to have people like him in our lives to teach us that stuff from the ground up.
Totally.
So we've kind of watched PAC evolve into this like really beautiful, now it's like a mainstream therapy that you can learn and everyone should take it.
Well, and for the listeners, PACT is a psychobiological approach to couples therapy, and its creator and founder is Dr. Stan Tatkin.
Yeah.
Anything you want to listen to, all of his books are incredible.
Yes, and his wife Tracy Tatkin.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tracy.
Totally.
We know Tracy is the backbone of the organization of that company.
Of course. It's funny, I just remember just a short story. I remember going to the training and they didn't even have a payment method. Like Stan took out his phone and he'd be like, here, try and use this. Yeah. And like, just, it was a long time ago. So, So PACT is, after we both started becoming trained in that, couples was pretty much our bread and butter. I would say that, 50 to 80% of what we started to do was couples work. And it transformed everything.
Yes.
It was, for me, it was during my second child's birth, and it changed how I parented. It changed how I talked to my parents. It changed everything. And this is what we want to share with our listeners, is how to impact all of your relationships, not just with yourself, but with everyone around you.
Yeah. Which is kind of, I just think about your birth of your daughter, but, I think just to backtrack too, like, why did we become psychologists? Mm-hmm. Or when do we become interested in that? So I was talking about, the forensic field, criminal mind, being curious about things. But, fun fact, we both come from twin moms.
Yes.
So that's an interesting, they come with their own curious natures for sure. But I know, being an only child for you as well, there's some curiosity about relationships and how people work and why they work. And, and so thinking about how now PACT changes the way you parent, thinking about even our early experiences of being curious little beings. Like I think being who we are as psychologists actually didn't start, we met Stan or met Conrad. Mm-hmm. It started probably when we were kids, right?
Really young. Yeah. Oh yeah. For me, I can remember being really young, like kindergarten, and knowing I wanted to be a psychologist. So it was either a teacher, an actress, or a psychologist. And I was always interested in people and watching people. And I think being an early child, you get a lot of alone time. So there's a lot of reflection and watching. Right. And I was just that kid. I was always curious about why were my friends' families doing, Sunday home evening? Why did some of them go to church? Why did some of them do this or that? Why were the parents fighting and why were the kids reacting the way they were? Because I only had me to react to. So when my parents were upset, I was the one going up to them and checking in with them. And it was just the three of us.
Right. So you're kind of in the middle of that fishbowl, making sure the environment, being curious about the environment and doing somewhat kid, not great therapy, but kid therapy. Yeah. Of making sure that environment, ecosystem was safe and secure.
Totally. Sure, yeah. And I'm lucky my parents are still married. They've been married over 50 years. Yeah. And as much as maybe they fought, they did repair. I may have helped in some situations, but I remember always knowing that they were coming back together. Yeah. Or that they would listen to me and hear me. So I feel like I was lucky to have that.
Yeah. And so that, so then the idea of relationships are important was still part of your upbringing.
Huge.
Yeah. 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 Which I think then leads to us being curious about relationships.
Yeah.
Right? Same with mine. Like I think even in my childhood, relationships in my family were important. My background, we'll talk about the Wave Island thing later, but was a bit more islandy. So I grew up in a family that, I pretty early knew that I didn't quite fit the mold and I was somewhat different than the rest. Mm-hmm. And I knew they didn't quite get me. And so I tried, as a kid, I'm just like, okay, well, I'll get them. So I got really tuned in young. Like I remember my mom tells stories. It's fun for me to tell stories about me as a kid. 2 years old, putting her to bed, like, Mom, you need a nap? And so I'd like make her a bed, put her to bed, bring her a drink. She'd like, thank you. So I would caretake her, and then, and then my brother was born not very long, so I put him to bed, and then I'd sneak out the house. I'm like a 2.5-year-old kid, and I would just be like, peace out, and go do my own thing. So my independence was early young, but my tuned in skills too, like being attuned to my environment.
Yes.
I think because feeling not tuned into, I became hyper tuned in to make sure the environment was good, and not that was my job, but
no, but that is, that's what happens, right? Yeah. And same for me, although my parents, they only had me to focus on, so I got a lot of attention and some attunement. But when they were dysregulated, it felt like that was my time to kind of, same for you, when your mom needed a nap or whatever it was, you attuned to her, and then took care of yourself. And so it is interesting, and we'll get into the attachment stuff in our first episode. A little bit more, but this kind of, it really early on led both of us in this direction.
Yeah, for sure.
And we were both early on relationship people. We dated young, and we had long-term relationships.
Young. For sure. Looking back, I think my early relationships were like early clients in some ways. I mean, not to, no offense, but they just were. Like I was so tuned in. And so I kind of picked people.
And when you say that, you mean you wanted to fix them, not that they were clients.
No. I wanted to, as I picked a boyfriend, my first boyfriend, who had alcoholic parents and had lots of stuff in his family, ended up going to jail. Like I was like, I was also the kid that was like, kind of like I still now, like taking in the other kids that needed a home. I'm like, oh, this kid needs, end up living at our house for a while. And I was like, oh, this other kid's going through, can he live at our house for a while? So I just bring home, the people that needed support. And so that my early relationships were definitely my early learning tools of how to repair, fix, regulate. Yes. And again, not being good, I'm a teenager, so I'm not good at it. Yeah. But I can see those patterns early on for sure. Yeah. Thank God my God decided to get married. I was like, I'm not picking a client. I'm going to pick someone that's secure.
Yes. It does. I always tell people, I'm like, it's kind of like a buffet to me, dating. It's like you want to try a little bit of everything. Right? You want to, because then when you find the person that seems to be like, you align with the vision that I want in life. Not you're the perfect person, because that doesn't exist. Yeah. It's like you actually align with the kind of relationship I want to create. Because I've had 4 or 5 other shitty relationships or unhealthy ones, but you have also the base bone of like, you want what I want in life. And let's co-create this together, which is what a secure functioning relationship is. You need to have that shared vision. It's not the perfect person.
No, shared vision, shared agreements, and we're working on the same thing, so we understand. So there's a structure of what we're doing and why. So when things get tough or there's shiny objects in the different corner, you're not like, squirrel, I'm going to go over there. You're like, no, I don't do that because we have shared agreements over here.
And that just gave me like an aha insight of like, that is exactly what we did not do in our early dating. We found the person to help and shift and try and do some work with. Yeah. Like you said, basically like a client. We found people that we wanted to help. Yeah. Whereas in our relationships now, although we do help each other, it's in a mutual way.
Yeah, it's very different. It doesn't feel like we're all burdens, we're all pain in the ass for sure.
Annoying.
But we're annoying, all the things, but it feels very different for sure. So I was unaware of these patterns obviously back then, but looking back, they're so clear to me now. Yeah. So how we became who we are today has been, literally since probably I was born. Like I think it's been a journey of all these things. And so we talk about our attachment systems, and there's no shame or blame. Like I'm grateful for my experiences because they led me to the here and now today, and I am what I am and do what I do because it's literally in my DNA, I think.
Yeah, I know. I think too. I thank my parents for through every up and down we've been through in life, because it has shaped who I've become, and I love that journey. Yeah. I mean, when you're going through tough times, at certain points you don't love that, but that's where the growth is. That's where you change.
Yeah. Okay, so what is this podcast about? So why are we doing this now? Why are we so passionate about doing this podcast now?
Wow.
Because really, do we have time for this? No.
Well, I feel like we talk on the phone so much. We're somebody we consult all the time, back and forth about our clients, because we love it, not just because we have to. We're like, I'm worried about this person. Have you reached out? Like, this is just kind of who we are as people. Yes. And
what's best practice? I have this client with this thing. What do you think? What would you do? Yeah. Let's stand, say, let's phone stand. Like, it's because we love what we do.
So much. Yeah. And I think for me, seeing other people doing podcasts was like, oh, that's really interesting. Yeah. And then I don't even know how. I feel like we had like a conversation, and it was like, we should do this. Like, why don't we try and help people in any way that we can through, us talking, which is, we have so many different friends who are like, I love hearing you guys talk. Like, you guys are really good when you're talking about stuff. So it's like, why don't we do that for like a job?
Right? Let's put it out there and see what happens. Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of the goal, like really to reach a wider audience and to share. You can read a book and you can listen to people's podcasts, which is great. Listen to authors talking, which is great. So what we're going to offer that's a bit different, I think, is that we've read the books, we've done the training. We're both psychologists. We've worked in private practice, all this stuff for so long. 25 years in, 20
probably
years in. So combined 40 plus years experience, right? Yeah. And we've worked with so many amazing people over those years that have taught us so many life lessons. Yeah. So if we can bring that to our audience, and anybody in relationship of any type.
Yeah, whether you're a preteen, a teen, an adult, later in life, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. I mean, and we both really have worked, aside from the littles, Yeah. We don't do anything really little, but
Yeah.
we've always worked kind of throughout the lifespan.
Yeah, when you have family systems and your families are not
Exactly.
the whole thing. So yeah, so our goal then is to reach the widest audience possible with giving them, the tools that you and I have. We don't know everything,
No.
but don't pretend to know everything. We know a few things, with this combined experience we have so far. We're going to keep learning. We also want you guys to reach out with your questions. So, at the bottom of our podcast or however that works, DM us, wherever that works. We're not techie, clearly.
No, but we have hired people to help us be better.
Yes, this is going to be good because we have an Eric that's going to help, publish these things.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think really for us, having something take home at the end of every podcast is our goal. So, not every podcast episode is going to maybe land in your life situation, but we want you to be able to take some kind of nugget of information that you actually could still implement.
Exactly, for sure. And our plan is to do seasons. So season 1's going to be relationship with self, which is really the foundation then for relationship with others. So we'll probably do secure attachment first. Episode will be secure attachment, and move into just like bringing in guests and talking about all different parts of relationship with self, and then we'll move on to relationship with others. We'll just kind of go through seasons based on comments and questions and people's feedback, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All things relationships. So we're gonna bring in Stan, of course.
Yes. You guys will have to Google him if you don't know who he is.
Yes,
Dr. Stan Tatkin.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Maybe we can get him and Tracy on together. It'd be kind of fun.
Oh, that would be so fun.
That would be great.
Yeah, it would be really interesting also to interview a few couples that maybe not that we've worked with, but couples that we know of that do really well in relationship, because that's really what people want to hear is what are they doing different?
Yeah, what are the tools?
Yeah.
I think what you said is, just to reiterate, is perfection. Like, we want to give people tools to take home every episode so you can apply this to your real life. Like we said in our intro. That's the goal here. So
yeah.
We're super excited.
Yeah, we are. Yes. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. What's our theme? We have a theme song. Our phones both on set. If you guys don't know the song, Google the Kelsey Ballerini song. What is the title of the song? Dayna's going to look it up.
Yeah.
Kelsey Ballerini. Because I think, so secure functioning is having shared agreements, shared vision, shared dreams, right? Shared. And so this song, this isn't like, I wouldn't say it's like what we actually would do in real life, because it's funny. But the idea of like, I have your back.
Yes.
And so because of that, there's a shared agreement here in a relationship that's secure. So even if, let's say I thought Dayna was doing something over here, because we're secure, I wouldn't ever question those things. If we have a secure foundation, and I know she's my back, no matter what.
And that's just it. Yeah, and we can't play the song, right?
Because we can't. I think we can. We just can't take any credit for it. I don't know how that works. If we're breaking rules, we're sorry. But I just wanted. This is like our theme song these days. I love her. I love country music, but I just think this song speaks to who we are. Here it comes.
It's turned on you, it's turned on me. We both know and safely come closer and we end up on the news. You go down, I'm going down too.
Okay,
That's it.
A little piece of that.
Right?
But it is true. I think, when you sent me that song, I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally us. It's just, we're always up for whatever with each other. Like, we just have a mutual trust of like, if you say we're going to do something, I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And usually I'm the adventurous one, like, let's try something crazy. However, gotta say, last visit to your house in Phoenix, I was like, what do you want to do? It's your birthday, let's do that. And you're like, let's go shoot some guns. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy, but let's do it.
Yes.
And we did. And holy cow, it was like terrifying but empowering.
Totally. That's us. I mean, and we'll probably share little pieces of like, we're the type where, we go shopping and we're dressing up the whole time and taking pictures. We're we're goofy, we're playful. We're just, I don't know, I feel like age-wise, we still act like we're like teenagers sometimes in certain ways.
Yes. In the fun, playful ways, for sure.
Definitely.
And other playful parts, like, really enjoy the ride here.
Definitely. Well, we are so happy that we're finally doing this.
It's been a long haul to get here, for sure. But
totally.
We're here, we're doing it, so jump in, join the ride, enjoy the podcast, send us feedback. We want this to be good for everyone listening too, so open to your feedback for sure.
Yeah, we are.
Cool. Okay, see you in episode 1, everyone.
See you later.
Ciao.
Thanks so much for joining us.
We're really glad you're here with us on this journey.
The best way to support this podcast is to subscribe and give it a 5-star review.
See you next time.
This has been a Bread Dog Studios production.